Happy Friday, another Motion.io. These live streams every week now at this exact for us in out in Pacific, and then 12 on Eastern time. My name is Sam Chlebowski. I am one of the Motion.io. And continue with round 2 of kind of our IO questions. And during the course, a bunch of the questions that I've pulled from them in real time, showing you around the platform. So, the content of this webinar, please don't hesitate to ask away questions. I will be responding to in real time and tell you about whatever you might want to, but along the way I will cover questions for you all. And this is kind of from the gamut of, sort of intrusive features and functionality, power features, if you will, simplify and automate in Motion.io. And before I get to showing you how, what I'd like to do for the first part of these webinars, we released in the last week. Go ahead and go in changelog and just chat about, because there's some really cool stuff in here. I'll go ahead and share my and great is our Motion.io change. Anytime we push a release to the ship monthly release notes we've released over the last month, this is where you can time, hey, what's new, what's been added. Maybe there's a feature that you request that we released in the past week. So to go and find that information. Also, wanted to point out too, as regardless of where you're tuning in from, whether YouTube, LinkedIn, we'll see them. I'll respond to them in screen for a second. So I'll just type and I'll answer them live. This past week, we released one of sort of requested improvements to Melody, which is our file management. And what we've done with, when I see them maybe having an issue, and try and change that here real.
Not sure why that was happening. Is that any better, Brandon? For you, let me know. Sorry if that, sorry for the trouble there. I think it must have defaulted to my AirPods or something. I had them plugged in earlier when I was working on a video, but I thought I had disconnected them. Sorry about that. Sweet. Great to hear it's better. Okay, so cool. So what I was talking about with our improvements to file management, this is basically a complete redesign of the way that you manage files in Motion.io. And one of the things we kept hearing from folks over the last couple months is that they really wanted the ability to basically run wild with the way that they manage files in Motion.io. They wanted to create their own folders, create subfolders within them. And the long story short is people wanted it to operate more like the tools they already use. And so something that we looked at a lot when redesigning this, we know that our customers, the people that use us, oftentimes use Google Drive a lot. And so what we try to do is model our new experience in a way that's similar and it provides a familiar feel to that. And I will show you this in just a second. But then also give it that motion.io spin, if you will, where it's really focused on client projects. And we do include some new filters and things that help categorize the files that either clients are uploading or you are sharing with them. And I'm going to show you how all of that works in just a little bit. But this is a really, really cool update for us. Really excited to have this live. And it's going to open up some very cool opportunities with integrations that we can do. Now that it functions more like a Google Drive or a Dropbox, those are integrations that we're talking about here internally, and we want to be able to explore within the next couple of months. The other feature that we've released, and these two were pretty big ones for us. You'll notice that in some of our previous releases in past weeks, there's sometimes 4, 5, 6, even 7 features listed here. This week, there's just 2 because they're really big, really impactful. So the next thing that we released this week is a ton of improvements to our mobile interface, and specifically on the admin side. So we spent some time a couple of months ago focusing on improving the mobile experience for clients, but there was still more work that we needed to do on the mobile side for project admin, so that if you, your team, are accessing projects on the go, you can do all of the things that you need to do in app, and it's going to run a lot more smoothly for you. So we made a whole slew of improvements to our mobile experience if you are using motion.io within a browser on your phone. And Alicia, I believe that audio should be fixed now. Let me know if it isn't. I did just switch a setting, but maybe that you had meant to write that in a little bit sooner. I'm getting it late, but we had one person say that it's sounding clear now. Let me know if you're still having trouble hearing though. And I did just ask one of my team members too to make sure that it's good. So hopefully it's sounding okay for you, Alicia. So with that, covered what we've released over this past week. And as promised, I want to get right into showing you our new and improved file management, because this is also, since we released this just yesterday, something folks have had questions about. So let me go ahead and I'm going to dive into my own motion.io account and show you what our new file management looks like. So within each project in motion.io, you'll see a tab up the top here, your files tab. And this is going to contain every single file that either you have uploaded to share with your clients, or clients themselves have uploaded to their motion.io portals. And this looks completely different than how it used to if you've been using motion.io for some time. So with our improvements to file management, what you'll see here is you now can create as many new folders as you'd like, give them completely customizable names. I'll just call this is a new folder. And then within those folders, create as many subfolders as you would like. So it's as easy as just creating your primary folder. I created this. This is a new folder. Okay, I'll nest another folder within this. I'll call this is a subfolder. And it's as easy as that. And you can also, in your project templates, if you are using folders that the naming conventions, the sort of structure, meaning the primary and subfolders that you're using are consistent across projects, you can also set this up ahead of time in a project template, which is definitely what I would recommend doing if, like I said, you run type of projects where you're using the same folders with the same naming conventions every time. You can create new folders in your template. I'll call this new folder in template, and this will automatically flow through to any new projects you create from that template. Heading back into a projects, I was just in a template, but I'm back in a project now. I'm just going to quickly delete this folder, just move it out of the way here. Oh, and whoops, I had to delete that subfolder first. So I'm going to delete this folder just to move it out of the way, avoid any confusion there. What you'll also see here is that now there's this new column within the folder and the file library that says in portal. And this is going to indicate if a folder is visible to a client or not. So what I'm going to do to show you the process of sharing folders and what it looks like as files get uploaded to projects, I'm actually just going to impersonate one of my clients here that I've added. I'm going to impersonate good old Jenny Jacob here. These are just fake clients that I use all of the time in this account. And I'll go ahead and share the client portal view. So I'm here in Jenny Jacobs' client portal acting as the client, and I'm going to go to the files library, and I'm going to click upload files. So I'm going to do some direct uploading of files that are outside of tasks. And as a side note, this is a big reason why we decided to revamp file management in the first place. In addition to providing a more familiar, intuitive experience, we realized that a lot of times clients were uploading files directly from this page. And we wanted to give you a way that made it a lot easier to categorize and organize those files throughout projects. Another thing to point out while we are here in the clients view is that you'll notice that if you have invited clients to multiple projects, so in this example for Jenny, she has a digital advertising project as well as a website redesign project. And when Jenny goes to her files page, she can toggle between the files and folders for each project. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to upload some files. I just have the Moxie Beverages logo. And if anyone is from Maine or the Northeast, you might be familiar with Moxie. This is just something I use because I needed to create like a fake brand for my client, but it's a soda that every year when I go to Maine, I drink. It's for some reason, I only have seen it like in Maine itself. It's very bitter. It's almost like a more bitter, like root beer mixed with like a Pepsi, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this file. And you'll see that any time a client uploads a file, they'll have immediate access to those files they upload. As well, if you attach files to tasks, which I'll show you now, let's just go ahead. I'm going to go back into the admin view and create a new task. And let's just do let's go ahead. We can do a proofing task here. So I'll just attach some files to that. Drag in this add creative image we created for Moxie Beverages. And I'll go ahead and save that. And I will also send it to the client. So we'll go ahead and send that off. Coming back in here to the files library. And I'll just refresh my screen here quickly. Is that you'll see now I have two uncategorized files. So one was that file that Jenny uploaded directly to her portal. One was the file that I attached to that task. So by default, both of these are going to be visible to the client because I shared this file with them, and this is a file a client uploaded directly. But let's say I wanted to move these into folders. So I'm going to move this Moxie Beverages logo file. I'm going to move that into the client uploads folder. And then this add creative image, I'm going to move that into my deliverables folder that I created. However, because these folders haven't been shared with the client yet, when I do move those folders into this, they won't have access to them any longer, and I want the client to have access. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click Share in Portal on both the deliverable files as well as the client uploads. And great, the client will now have access to both of those folders directly in their portal. And we can see that if I head back to the client's view, go ahead and click refresh. And sweet, you see in their deliverable files, there is that ad creative that I uploaded, as well as in the client uploads, the logo file that I added to the folder and shared with the client is there as well. So we've had a couple of questions that have come in, and I'm going to go ahead and let's answer these. The first one we have is from Brandon, and thanks for writing in, Brandon. And Brandon asks, if we have a template with a document in it, it will create new folders and new documents for each new client we add. Yes, Brandon. So the question you're asking is about project templates, I believe. So just to quickly kind of rehash that and show you what that would look like. I'm going to go ahead into my template, and let's go ahead and I believe you were specifically asking about, hey, what if I have a document that's already in a template? So I assume it's something that you're probably sharing with folks like every time you start a new project. So what I can go ahead and do is I'm going to rename this quickly and say template file. So I'm just going to call this template files just to keep things nice and easy. I'm going to go ahead and click share in portal on that. And then I'm going to upload some files into this. So I'm just going to grab this file that I have quickly accessible from my desktop, go ahead and click upload in that, and I'll move it into the template files folder. What you'll see now is when I create, and this was that template I just created that folder in, added the file to, when I click create, and let's call this project from template, go ahead, click create. And what you'll see here is great. I have that template files folder I created, and within it, the add creative image that I uploaded is automatically there for the client. And in addition, it's automatically shared and it's going to be accessible in the client's portal. So those kind of things are going to carry over for you. It makes it really easy, especially for your use case, I believe, where you want to be sharing these things with clients for each new project you create. And just to follow on, Brandon had another question. How does file management flow into approval workflows? So great question, Brandon. And I'm actually going to show you that here next. I know we have a couple of other questions. I'll make sure to get to those just after this. So hang in there with me, but I think this will be really useful to show everyone here. So I'm going to hop back into one of the active projects that I have going on here. And let's go ahead off screen. And I'm just going to do this quickly so you don't have to, so I don't have to keep toggling back and forth. But what I did is I assigned a task to, and actually, yeah, I'll just go ahead and share this anyways. This is easy enough. So I sent a task to Jenny Jacob here to review and approve this ad creative. Let's say that Jenny said, hey, this looks good. So she's going to click approve on that. So that task is now completed. And let's hop back into the admin view for the file management. So what you will see here within your project files is we actually give you the ability now to filter between different types of tasks and ways that files were uploaded, as well as if they're visible in the client's portal or not. So for approval workflows, to answer your question there, Brandon, I can quickly go and see, oh, sweet. This ad creative image that I sent with an approval task is right in here in the folder that I want it to be in. The same thing also applies with a number of different other types of files you might attach to tasks. For example, if you send a client a contract to complete, you can quickly filter by signed and contracts here. And you'll see that this was the digital marketing contract that my client signed during our onboarding phase. I can quickly download that. Same thing applies for form upload. So for example, if you ask clients to add a file as a part of completing a form, you can quickly surface that information. And then there's also the file or the options to filter by specific tasks. So an additional layer to help with your approval workflows is you could go into tasks and then select a specific task related to an approval that you've sent and see that file and get information on it quickly and easily. So hopefully that answered your questions, Brandon. Oh, yeah, and you had one more about notifications. Do we get notifications when a client uploads new files? So for clients uploading files, if that is a part of a task, you will get notified about that. As a reminder, and this is just quickly something that I think is helpful to show if you are newer to Motion.io, in your settings for your specific account, so you click your name here in the bottom left-hand corner, go to notifications, you can control the frequency at which you get notified for projects. So if I really want to be notified of like anytime a client is doing something in a portal, I can set this to immediately. And there's two columns here. There's a column for client messages, which include task comments, new chat messages, things like that, as well as other activities. So this includes task status changes, form submissions, and other project-related activities. I would suggest for what you are asking about, Brandon, is to probably just set both of these to immediately. And as a reminder, you can also apply this at a template level. So for example, in my digital marketing template, if I knew I was going to be the person kind of owning this project, running it every single time, I could set the notification preference to this to immediately for that template, and then that'll automatically carry through anytime I create a project from it. So great questions, Brandon. Thanks so much for writing in. I believe this is a question from Tim at Ela Connect. Hi, Sam. How does the folder system work when asking a client to do a file upload task? Great question, Tim. Let's go ahead and let's show you that in real time here. So I'm going to come into one of my projects. Let's use, I'm just going to use the same project here again. And I'm going to quickly create a task. I'm actually going to just delete, or I'm going to duplicate this task here quickly for the client to upload their brand assets. And I'll just delete the old task here so we can start fresh for you all to kind of have it from the beginning of the workflow. And I'm going to edit this task very quickly. Just to assign a person to it. So we'll assign our lovely client, Jenny Jacob, once again. And what you'll see here is within this file uploads task, I have added some file upload areas where I'm requesting logo files, brand guide, team photos. And I want the client to be able to upload the corresponding files into each category here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go and save and send this off. And we'll pop back into Jenny's portal here. Click refresh to get this task up. And I will just follow the prompt to first upload my logo file. And I did prepare ahead of time in anticipation of potentially getting a question about this. So I'm going to go ahead, upload the brand guide. And then do I have any team headshots here? Oh yeah, I have some photos I can upload of our team here. So let me go ahead and do that. This is a photo of actually are Motion.io team members here. So I'm going to upload Josh's headshot, Kate's headshot. Maybe you've spoken with some of these lovely people. I'm also going to upload Matt's headshot as you've been working with the team here at Motion.io. And so I've done all of the different requests here as the client. So I'll click mark as completed. That task is complete. And now, Tim, we're going to pop back into the files library and I'll show you what that looks like. So as the client, I completed this this upload brand assets task, and I have those headshots you saw me upload, a PDF, as well as a logo file. And now what you can see here is if I go to tasks, I can see that in the upload brand assets task, great. All of those files are here, ready to use and very quickly accessible. If I wanted to, what I could do very quickly, as I showed you a little bit before, is I could even in my client uploads folder, like let's say I wanted to organize those headshots as well as that like brand guide into their own subfolders. So I'll create additional folders here for team headshots, as well as, got to rename this here quick, as well as brand guide. And then if I wanted to, I could quickly drag and drop these into that folder and then organize them accordingly. So we're really excited about this update, and I love the questions that we are getting about our new file management system. Hopefully you'll find this a lot more intuitive, a lot easier to use, and gives you that flexibility and customizability to exactly fit sort of your process and allow you to really do more in Motion.io without even having to necessarily rely on external file management systems. So if we do have any more questions about that, definitely feel free to write in. Happy to touch on anything you might still have questions about or we might have missed throughout going through our improvements to file management in Motion.io. But what I would love to do now here is let's talk about some of the other common questions we get about Motion.io. And what I've done is I've structured this so if you had watched the last live stream where I covered some of our most asked questions, this is going to be totally new questions and answers about different features that I didn't get to cover last time because I pulled this whole big long list of questions, only got through maybe a third of them. I'm going to be doing another one of these in 2 weeks from now, so stay on the lookout for that. But for today, I want to talk about a question that we get semi-frequently, but also is something that people are kind of surprised to learn about in Motion.io that they're really interested in using. And they just, haven't maybe explored it yet. So it is a little bit more of a power feature, but stick with me because it's really cool. And the question is, how do I use form blocks in automations? So I'm going to hop back into my Motion.io account. And one thing that you might not have been aware of is that you can actually use form blocks to trigger automations. And this can have a number of different really cool use cases that help automate your workflow, really streamline tasks. So I'm in here in and actually I'm going to go, instead of being in an active project, I'm going to go into a template because templates are where I typically create automations and generally where I would suggest you do too, because as with everything in a template, things that you create will automatically pull into projects you create from the template. So here in the automation section of my template, you'll see I have a couple automations already set up. These are some pretty basic ones. Just, for example, when the project is created, activating the first tasks, when the onboarding stage is completed, activating the subsequent stage. And I'm going to go ahead and click Add Automation. Also, if you missed some of our recent updates, we did just do a pretty big overhaul to the automations section of Motion.io as well. We've really improved it so it's much easier to use and really allows you to much more quickly understand the types of automations you've set up, when they've last run, and how those automations are and what they are doing within your projects. So I'm going to go ahead here and we'll call this form block import tasks. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to select for the trigger event, which is what will kick off this automation, if form block, are you interested in SEO services, is yes, what I will do is I'm not going to put a delay here. Then I'm going to import a stage from a different one of my templates, from my SEO services template. I'm going to import the onboarding stage. I'm going to import where did that go? I'm also going to import the analytics setup and optimization stage. And finally, I'm going to import the, oh, sorry. I wanted to do that as an import stage action, not an import task action. And I'll also import the ongoing management and optimization stage. So I haven't really explained yet what this automation is doing. So let me take a second, quickly explain and show you how this is going to work. So in my onboarding form, I have a question that asks the client, are you interested in SEO services? And if they answer yes, what I'm going to do is selectively import stages related to the SEO services I provide. And the reason why I really love the ability to use form blocks in your automations is it can be great if you are a business where you might offer a couple of different types of services. For example, if you are a digital marketing agency, a lot of times you'll offer like campaign setup or optimization, but you'll also offer the ability to create the actual ad assets for them. So things like the images, the videos that might be appearing in ads. And it is a add-on service, or it's maybe an additional package. What you could do in this case is you could ask your client, hey, are you also interested in this additional service I provide? And if they answer yes, you could then go ahead and import automatically all of the tasks and stages related to that additional service right into their existing project. And as I mentioned, this is something that you can use at the template level, and it'll automatically carry through to any products you create from that template. So Marquisa, hopefully that answers your question there. But yeah, the long story short is what this automation will do is allow you to import things as a project changes, but there's a number of other ways you might use the form block trigger. Some other ways that I can think of using this is if you wanted to do things like the inverse of importing a stage. Like let's say if a client isn't interested in a service you offer, what you could do is if they say no, instead of importing that stage, you could actually archive it. And kind of clean up their portal on the fly. And that is another option too, if there's things that maybe don't apply to every client. So for example, if you are working with a client and maybe it is a marketing agency, once again, that you're running, and part of the services that you offer, you say, hey, we will optimize your website for the search engines, or we'll set up your Google My Business profile. If they said they weren't interested in that, or maybe they've already done that, you could use this form block trigger if they said no to a question you might ask to archive certain things within their project. And that might be a stage. That could also be a portal page. So if you wanted to hide a specific page in their portal, you could do that as well. So a number of really powerful different ways to use that. And love to hear it. Love to hear that that is great and that you're finding value with that feature there. So I see we have another question here from Brandon. Let's go ahead and dig into that one. The question was, if you have time, can you show what the roll-up of client data looks like via a dashboard type page or executive view? Great question, Brandon. We actually just did a pretty big new feature release. It was a couple weeks back that provides a really great way to view that type of high-level information. So, for example, for managers or people owning multiple projects, or maybe they lead a department. And let's go ahead and dive in and show you how you can quickly surface that information. And Marquisa, I will get back. I will show you that automation in just a second. And maybe actually we can just do that now here quick before I navigate away. So I'll once again share my screen. So in order to get this to work, what I'm going to have to do here really quickly is just create a new project from the template. So I'll go ahead and create, and I'll just call this automation example. And cool, I have that form block automation in there. Next, I'll go ahead, add a client to this here really quick. And we'll use a different client this time. Let's use Sunny Baker here. So I'm going to assign them to those tasks. And then as I had mentioned, what this automation is doing is it uses the onboarding form to trigger the automation. And let me just make sure really quickly that that is all set up the way that I wanted it to. And actually, no, it is not. So hold on a second. And I'm just going to import the onboarding stage. Or actually, let's do the analytics setup and optimization stage. So cool. I have that all set up. And the way that this is going to work is after their onboarding form is completed, based on how they answer, it will either import those tasks or not. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to impersonate Sunny Baker here. And we'll just quickly complete his form. And I'm just going to run through this. I'm not going to totally fill this out like I'm a client. But I am going to make sure I answer yes, because that's what's going to trigger that automation. Quickly just finish this by uploading a folder or uploading a file. Go ahead, click submit and mark as completed. And what you can see here is there are these 4 stages in the project right now. But when this automation runs, and I'm going to head back to my admin view, sweet. Because the client, Sunny, that I was impersonating, answered yes, my automation did successfully fire and automatically imported this new stage for the SEO services. And you can see that as well if you're new to automations. You can check if your automations have fired by just going into the tab here up at the top. And in this last run column, you'll get details on when that automation last fired. And I can see, cool. And on June 6th at 10:10, the form question, are you interested in SEO services, was answered yes. And here is what it did. So cool, Marquisa. Hopefully that is what you wanted to see. And let's go ahead and let's get back to Brandon's question. which is showing the rollup of client, what the rollup of client data looks like via a dashboard type page or executive view. So Brandon, in your admin dashboard, where you can go to get a high-level overview of that type of information that you're looking for is you can click into the tasks page. And as I had mentioned a couple of moments ago, this page recently got a massive overhaul. Previously, this was called My Tasks, and you could only really use it for tasks assigned to you. Now, what we do is give you the ability to check all tasks across all projects and provide some really convenient and powerful filters for you to do so. So by default, you will be selected as the task assignee, but let's say you wanted to check on a specific team member's tasks. So I have Sarah Smith here on my team. And let's say I wanted to say, okay, what tasks are overdue that Sarah was supposed to be working on this week? I could go ahead and toggle this as Sarah to see only the tasks assigned to her. I could even do things like, when was the last time that task was commented on, or when was it due? So if I wanted to see only overdue tasks to which my team member Sarah was assigned, I would just have to set up a very quick filter where I select her, and then from the due date column, I select overdue. And there's an even simpler way to do this. If you quickly want to just go to overdue tasks, this will show you all overdue tasks across all projects in your account. And if you wanted to, could very easily filter by those overdue tasks that were assigned to team members or those overdue tasks assigned just to clients. And this is a really useful way for surfacing roadblocks within your projects. For example, what information are we waiting on from our client before we can go ahead and move forward with the project? And Brandon, that's a great follow-up question. So at the moment, we don't have the ability to save views for the filters that you apply here. But I love getting feedback like that. That's something I'm going to make sure that I log for you as a feature request here. We really take our feature requests at Motion.io very, very seriously. We keep track of every single one that comes in. Because it really influences our roadmap, and certain things that, if we're hearing a lot again and again and again, it's stuff that we'll often prioritize just within a couple of weeks of hearing. So, and it's also great to hear, Brandon, that you love the team and client filtering. Amazing. That is, specifically why we built that. Hope you'll be able to find value out of this, and it's giving you the insights that you need to be able to surface that data, what you might need to follow up on, what you might need to meet with somebody about within a project. And so always happy to answer your questions. Marquisa asked a question that is, I can only ask a team member or I can only assign a team member or a task to a team member if they're using a paid seat in my plan. And yeah, that is correct, Marquisa. So the way that Motion.io works is if you wanted to assign tasks to team members, you would have to add them to your plan. For clients, if you don't know this already, clients are always unlimited in Motion.io across every single plan. So you can add as many clients as you'd like to your projects. You can create as many projects as you want and assign tasks accordingly. Very flexible in that regards. But for team members, if you want to give them access to that admin backend, you would have to add them to your team. So a couple of other questions I think would be helpful to dig into, and that I have on my list here today. It's wild. It's almost been 45 minutes. We've only gotten through 2, but I love the questions that all of y'all are sending in. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about recurring tasks. And the question here is, how do recurring tasks work in Motion.io? First off, I'm going to start with what is a recurring task. So a recurring task is a task that you need to be done on a set schedule. Maybe that's every week, maybe that's once a month, but some kind of set schedule, and it repeats again and again and again. What Motion.io has functionality for is that instead of having to create, for, like, let's say you have a task that's due every week, instead of having to create 4 individual tasks, using Motion.io's recurring option in the task composer, you can set that up so it'll do it automatically as long as you need that task to be completed. And you're able to set up recurring tasks for both clients and team members. Our recurring task functionality, we just made a big improvement to. Previously, the only way that you could use it was for monthly recurring tasks. But we recently added the functionality that allows you to do weekly recurring tasks. So to create a recurring task, the process is pretty simple. Just go ahead, click Add Task, and this is going to be the exact same process, whether it's in a project or template. And I'm going to call this task Review Reporting Dashboard. I'm going to toggle it as a client task, and I'll assign my client here. What I'm also going to do for this task, and let me just save so I can copy a link I already have. And what I've done is I've built this just fake Looker Studio dashboard in this template that I use pretty regularly for these types of live streams, as well as some of the videos, some of the other content we're producing at Motion.io. What I'm going to do is go back to this task, click Embed, and I'm going to embed my Looker Studio report right in here. And sweet, we see it populating right there. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom of the task composer and click Recurring. So what you can see now within the recurring settings is you have options for weekly as well as monthly. If you're creating a weekly recurring task, you'll be prompted to select the day of the week you want that task to recur on, as well as the time of day you want that task to recur on. So what you're doing with these recurrence settings is you're basically saying, hey, each week, every Monday at 10 a.m., create a new task for my client to complete. One other cool thing I want to point out about recurring tasks, and I'm going to switch this just to monthly really quick to show you this. But you'll notice that once you toggle on recurring here, you'll get these options that are system fields in Motion.io. So they operate in a very similar manner to custom fields, where all you got to do is paste the slug in and then it will populate with that data. The difference is that Motion.io fills in these fields automatically for you. You don't have to like set a value for them or worry about populating them elsewhere. What I could do here is I'm going to say review, so month, pasting in that field here, reporting dashboard. What will happen once this recurring task starts running is this going to update each month. So it'll say, for example, next month in July, when this runs, it'll say review July reporting dashboard. The following month, it will say review August reporting dashboard, so on and so forth. So we'll go ahead and click save here. And then to start a recurring task, it's as simple as just clicking the drop down here and clicking start recurrence. So as this runs, it'll create individual tasks below this. Just like I mentioned, the first task it would create would be one in July, which would say review July reporting dashboard. After that, it'd create another new task saying review August reporting dashboard, like so. And I see we have a couple other questions here that have come in. So let's go ahead and dive into those. Thanks everybody so much for writing in. I love it when folks are asking questions. Says it honestly makes it way more fun for me when I can really get into, hey, what do you want to know about Motion.io? Because I have a good idea from just speaking with so many of our customers, but it's so fun to be able to do it here in real time. So Marquise had a question about a feature for ticket assignment by me to address a separate email. So one thing we have added, Marquise, if you're, it's Marquesa, if you're unfamiliar with it, in your Motion.io message center, and I'll jump back into my message center here. We recently added functionality that anytime a client responds to a email that they receive from Motion.io, and that might include a invite to a portal, maybe it's a reminder about a task. Anytime a client replies to one of those emails, that will automatically get logged here in the chat. And what you can do from there is even quickly turn those email responses, even though they happened outside of Motion.io in an email inbox, you can turn those into tasks that will automatically get sent to their related project. So for example, let me find a little bit better of a task here. So Jane in this M&T events, this digital advertising project, she said, I have a few examples from a competitor I think illustrate the vibe we're going for. What's the best way to send those over? If I wanted to, I could convert this into a task. And even just very quickly assign it to her. So let's go, Jane Smith. Whoops, sorry, 1 second. So I'll go ahead and save that. And I can even create a task to make sure that Jane does this, where I am going to request some files from her that are competitor screenshots. And this allows me to quickly create that task on the fly from this message that got sent directly to the message center. And I see, so hopefully that knocks out your first question, Marquesa, but I will go back and just double click here really quickly on recurring tasks for a second. And where did I create that task? I think it was in here. So this is what the task would look like for Jenny Jacob here. One of the things I realized that I can't actually follow this all the way through. It's just a little bit difficult because recurring tasks, they go on a schedule. So I can't actually show you like what that is going to look like. There is a way I can do it, but if you send me an email after this, I can share a screenshot with you of like what it looks like within your project as those recurring tasks get created. We also, if you'd like, we have a knowledge base article about recurring tasks that includes screenshots of this, which might be helpful to look at. And I do apologize for that. It's hard to be able to show those tasks actually being created because they reoccur on a schedule. So I'd have to wait till that happened. But I did just share a great knowledge base article that gives you some examples of like what those actually look like within your projects. But it's great to know, Marquesa, that you're loving the recurring task feature, and that's something that, you know, it sounds like you'll be using within your projects. And Marquesa, I see you asked another question that was, all members do not make a request in Motion. I'd like to train them to. In the meantime, can I set it up for them? So are you asking about your about clients you're working with, or is that about team members? What are you trying to accomplish specifically with the training? Are you getting them to use the admin view and then like set it up for their businesses, or is it clients who you'd like to train them how to use their client portals? If it is the latter, I actually have great news on that. Later today, actually probably like 5-10 minutes after this webinar is over, I will be releasing a YouTube video that gives a tutorial for your clients using Motion.io. So it walks them through like how projects work and makes it really easy for them to understand like the different areas of their portal. So what we do try and make it as intuitive as possible. That has been something folks have asked us for a couple of different times, just because, for particularly non-tech savvy clients, they might not know exactly like where to look in their portal or the different things that they can do. So I created just like this super quick 3-minute overview video that will be going live on our YouTube channel later today. And then as a reminder too, for all of these live streams, as well as new YouTube videos we release, shameless plug here for our YouTube channel. Go ahead and give us a follow. If you follow us, you'll be notified of every single live stream we do, as well as you'll get notifications about each new video we release. At the moment, I'm trying to do a video every single week. And I'm also happy to take suggestions for topics of things that would be helpful for you to know about if it's something you might watch again and again. So definitely let me know. And Mark Wade said, thanks for your additional clarification about tickets. If you just want to send an email to our support desk, we can help with really anything you need. I just plugged in the email there. And for anybody else in the chat, our support desk and our support team, and whoops, I made a little typo in there. So let me just delete that and enter it again. But for anything you need assistance with in Motion.io, our team is always standing by, ready to help you. Our whole team, well, not really our whole team, but it's 4 or 5 of us that manage that support desk, and we try and respond within business hours. We respond like within the hour, sometimes within minutes. So anything that you need help with, you have questions about, please let us know. And we'll be happy to, answer and help out with anything. So I see Tamara has a question. This will probably be the last question we take here today. But the question is, can you show an example of an automation that is used to create projects? And absolutely, certainly can. So one quick clarification about this before I dive in is that in order to create new projects via an automation, you're going to have to connect to Zapier. Zapier is a tool, if you're unfamiliar with it, that allows you to connect really thousands of different software tools that don't normally speak to each other together. And Motion.io has a really robust Zapier integration. One of our most used workflows that we see people create is exactly what Tamara is asking, where it's an automation that is triggered maybe by a CRM, maybe by an external form, and creates a new project in Motion.io. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that. And Tamara, for some additional specificity here, what would be a good example of an automation that you would want, or how would you want an automation to create projects to be triggered? Because I can actually show you the specific example in a way that'll be most useful to you. Would that be from a CRM? Would that be from like an external form? If you want to write in and tell me what type of automation or what type of trigger event you would like to have that automation launch, I can show you it in a much more specific way. In the meantime, though, I will pop into my Zapier account, which I had explained just a few minutes ago. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, first, let me share my screen here. Going to go ahead and share my Zapier screen. I'm going to create a new Zap, and we'll start with the trigger event. So in lieu of a more specific example, because this operates really similar, like regardless of what type of event you're using to trigger an automation. But I'm going to go ahead and just do something quick here. And I am going to use an automation that's triggered when a form is submitted. So this is, while Motion.io contains its own form builder tool, let's say you're using an external tool. Maybe that was JotForm. Maybe that is fill out, like I'm using an example here. And basically what you want to happen is every time that specific form is submitted, go ahead and create a project in motion.io. So I will connect my account here. I have an account that I've used in the past for a couple of different things. And I'm going to use this trigger event. I'm going to set it to new submission. And then, oh, that must have been the wrong account here. Haha, sweet. So cool. I'm going to use this lead form. So let's say I had this embedded on my website. And I have some test data here. Let's use this one here. So a company called Sam Adams Brewery. This is a funny test submission that I did earlier. Sometimes I run out of just like fake client names to use. So it can get pretty silly of like what I might enter into a form or what I might be using in an account. But, you know, got to keep things fun sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue with selected record. And then this is really where the magic happens when you are using Zapier to create projects automatically. Is I'm going to look up motion.io and I'm going to select the action event, create project. I will next select I'm actually just going to reconnect my account here really quickly. If you want to know where to go to find the connection info for Zapier, and I believe, yeah, I can share this, sweet. So this is what it looks like when you're first connecting Zapier to your account, where you get this thing that prompts you to enter a team ID and an API key. The area in your motion.io account where you can go and find that, I'm going to show you that here really quick. So all you got to do is go to settings and then integrations, click Zapier, which will open a dropdown, and you'll paste this team ID as well as this API key right into your Zapier account. And what you'll see now here is that my Zapier account for Gusto Growth, which is that example account I was in earlier, is going to be connected. So I'll go ahead, click continue. And the way that you configure this create project action, and the way I suggest doing it is first, I recommend setting up a portal template. So let's say when this fill out form is submitted, I want to create a new project from my digital advertising template. So I'll select that here. For the portal name, I like to name each of my projects in motion.io. I like to name them after the business. So I'm going to map this to the company name that was submitted. And then this part is extra important. The project owner, if you want to set a value for that, you can. But if you've already set this at a template level, it'll automatically pull in that information. So for example, I know for my digital advertising template, I'm always the project owner. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this. Then for the client email, like I said, this step is important. I'm going to make sure I pull that information in from the form submission as well as the client's name. Just below that, I'm going to click true for immediately assign tasks to client. And what this does is this is going to automatically assign the client to all tasks in the project, but it's not going to send them. So the way that you can use this is in your template. And in my specific example, the digital advertising template, I would want to set up automations within that automatically activated the first task. And this is something that I know that I've actually already done. And if you look at my digital advertising template here, on the automations page, you can see that I've set up an automation when the project is created, activate the first task. So what will happen, going back to Zapier, is that when Zapier creates this project, it'll go ahead, assign the client to all tasks, and automatically activate that first task for the client that I add here to complete. Something else that's really useful when you are creating projects from Zapier is you can actually specify values for custom fields in your project. So for example, let's say I have a custom field, and this is one I actually do have in that template that I showed you, is I have a custom field called primary contact name. If I enter the slug for that custom field, I can actually populate the value for it when this project is created. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to map that to client name, Sam Chlebowski, which was pulled in from the form submission. To quickly test this and show you what it will look like when it runs, I'm going to go ahead and click test step here. We'll give it a second to think. And cool, you can see that that was successful. Great, project's been created, client's been assigned. And now we'll go back into my projects. So we're here in my projects dashboard, and I'm going to click into the Sam Adams Brewery project that was created. And sweet, you can see going in here, that client from the form was added to the project. And on top of that, which is really the cherry on top, is that my automation also fired and automatically activated the very first task for the client to complete their onboarding form. And Tamara, thanks so much for writing in. You said it was a purchase in Thrivecart or a Typeform, and you want to create a project from a template. So that is really almost identical to what I just showed you. But let's go ahead and let's just go back into Zapier. And so I don't believe that I have a Typeform account connected, but this step that I showed you here, all of this would really remain the same. The only thing that you would change in your own automation is what you would do here is change this event that you were using. Instead of a fill out form, you would use Typeform. And you would select the new entry event, which is the only trigger they have available. And you could use this to go in and go ahead and create a project from that, from the information that client would enter in that form. And let's see, I'm also not sure if Thrivecart has a Zapier integration, but we can check. Oh yeah, so they have a Zapier integration too. So you could very easily do this with Thrivecart. It would really depend what you wanted to use for the trigger. I assume that the product purchase is probably the one that would most directly apply. But yeah, very easy way to do this in Thrivecart as well. So you could trigger this on a product purchase, and then you would map this to the information Zapier pulled in from that specific purchase. The final question that I'll take it, and it's a follow-on tomorrow. Thanks so much for writing in about that. And that question is, does the project owner get assigned to team tasks automatically? So no is the short answer, but is there a way to do this? Yes, and it is super duper easy. I'll go ahead and show you that now. So by default in your project templates, you can set, or sorry, and not by default, but in your project templates, you can set a project owner, but they're not, it's really more of just a way of knowing like, hey, who's responsible for that specific project? So even if I set myself as the project owner and if I would create a project from this template, I wouldn't automatically be assigned to these tasks, because the way that you set up tasks to be automatically assigned to team members in templates is simply going into that task and assigning them. So for example, let me go ahead and remove the assignees from this, from the tasks in this campaign setup stage. And let's say I'm the project owner, but I also wanted to be the one who is responsible for these two tasks, the design campaign creative and the implement campaign creative. In your templates, what you'll notice is that while you cannot assign clients, you can assign team members. And if I choose myself as the assignee, so I'll do that for this task as well as the task below it. Every time I create a project from this template, it is automatically going to go ahead and assign me to that task. And this is really useful, especially in automations. So for example, in this template, I know I have an automation that activates this campaign setup stage here. So when the onboarding stage is completed, what will happen is the tasks within the following stage will be automatically activated, and I will automatically be assigned as the owner. And then with our Zapier integration, it's going to go ahead and assign all of the tasks to the client automatically. So I can really let Motion.io's automations do their thing and take care of basically the entire project workflow for me, outside of doing things like maybe occasionally reviewing something or responding to comments. But the actual activating of tasks and sort of moving things along as the project progresses is going to be entirely automated for you. Oh, and sorry, I realized I wasn't sharing my screen there. Let me just go back in here and show you that. So what I did here is I had removed myself from the task initially. And then all I did was go ahead and add myself, because I said, hey, I know that I'm going to be responsible for these 2 tasks each time. So I just go ahead, add myself as an assignee. And then as a note, the client option is blank. You can't assign clients in project templates, but you can assign team members. And then what you will see here is after I do this, and I'll just do this manually and not through the automation, is that whenever I create a project from this template, just call this test, is sweet. I am automatically assigned to those tasks as expected. And then when this automation would run, so let's just go ahead and activate all of these just to simulate this really quick. Whoops. I am automatically assigned and can go in and knock these tasks out. So that does it for this weekly live stream. Thanks a lot, everybody, for all of the great questions that you've asked. Had a blast doing this one. The questions just keep coming. Look, we're already almost 15 minutes over, but yeah, thank you all so much for writing in. As a reminder, every single week, this same time, 10:30 Mountain Time, and that is 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. We'll be going live on these same social channels. So you can always expect us to find us there then. And in the meantime, if you have questions or need assistance using Motion.io, don't hesitate to send us an email at hello@motion.io. Until next time, everybody, my name is Sam Chlebowski, co-founder of Motion.io, signing off. Take care.